So they had an interview recently that Shakur Stevenson did on Jamel Harris' YouTube channel. Forgot the name of. I'm gonna put it in the description. Did a very good interview and had a lot of things to say as far as Shakur Stevenson and things going on in the boxing world. And Tank Davis' name came up, and he basically said that Tank Davis should have picked De Los Santos as a person to fight. I mean, as far as I heard, a lot of fans were saying that as well. After Shakur Stevenson had to fight against De Los Santos, a lot of people were saying that De Los Santos was the person they wanted to see Shakur Stevenson actually rematch. And it didn't make a lot of sense to me because I said, the fight wasn't really close to the point where I felt like if Shakur Stevenson went back in the fight again, he'll be in danger all of a sudden. I mean, from what I heard, everybody said it was a boring fight, so I didn't really feel like it needed a rematch. But from the style matchup point and how De Los Santos was the guy who ended up defeating Rayo, it only makes sense from a style matchup standpoint that Tank go in there and fight a guy. If you was thinking about fighting Rayo, in my mind, I'm like, okay, shoot. Well, the guy who defeated Rayo, that would be a good fight too. But for some reason, it didn't make a lot of sense to people because they said that De Los Santos is now coming off a loss. So I don't know. I don't know what people really was looking at from a style matchup point. But Shakur Stevenson said that Lamont Roach is still a good fighter. He's going to give Tank a tough matchup, which I think as well. I think Lamont Roach going to be tough. He's a good fighter. He's a champion for a reason. He ain't no pushover. He's not just going to go in there and lay down. That's definitely not going to happen. But at 135, would have liked to see De Los Santos and Tank. That would have made a lot of sense. That was an option, but I mean, Shakur had to hear something as far as him being an option because I heard De Los Santos say he was at some point looked at as a possibility, but they went ahead with Lamont Roach. So it is what it is. But he had to hear something. I don't think he just came out of left field by saying that. But so he's a boxing expert. He knows. He's been in the ring with De Los Santos. He knows how the style will match up with Tank. Tank doesn't have the same kind of defense Shakur Stevenson has. He does have the power. Rayo has the power as well. Like Rayo was definitely cracking De Los Santos, but we're seeing how De Los Santos can come right back with that same power and boom, change everything. He's throwing some bombs. And that would have been a good style matchup for Tank Davis. If he could have went in there and got De Los Santos up out of there, that would have been a huge statement to knock out a guy that Shakur couldn't stop. You know what kind of bragging rights they would have put on the table? I don't think people was looking at it like that though. They weren't looking from it from a standpoint of Tank Davis going in there and dominating a guy that Shakur Stevenson couldn't stop. They looking at it as something else. I don't know. Can't understand it. Because I haven't seen anybody that was in the ring with Tank get in the ring with De Los Santos. I mean, Rayo was possibly going to get in the ring with him, but that's the closest person. Anybody else, they haven't really been in the ring with him, so wouldn't make a lot of sense. They're not really even building up the fight. Like, they could have easily used that to build up the fight between him and Shakur Stevenson. At that point, you ain't even trying to do that. That would only make sense. I don't know. That don't make sense at all, though. But yeah, I thought at 135, that would have been a good option. Lamont Roach, he's like the best option, I guess, than the fights we didn't want to see. You know what I'm saying? Not saying we didn't want to see it, but I'm just saying. Well, a lot of people didn't want to see it. A lot of people do want to see it. But I'm talking about as far as the ones we didn't ask for. Like versus Devin Haney, versus Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis. All those fights would be ahead of this fight. The Dylan Santos one, that'll be close. But at the same time, it does make sense to say, hey, why he ain't fight Dylan Santos? That would have been a good fight. So I can't be mad at that. But Shakur still gave Lamont Roach credit as far as being a good champion, a good fighter. He ain't no terrible fighter. Like, he go in there and beat Tank, I ain't gonna be surprised. Like, he that good now, but I'm saying he's a good 130 fighter. But at 135, the power ain't carrying like other guys. You know, most guys at 135 can be knockout artists. Or they almost at that point. They definitely throwing the power like that. So you can't overlook that. That's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at the Tank and Lamont's situation compared to De Los Santos. I'm like, okay, De Los Santos carrying a lot more power. At that 135 spot, they can kind of get Tank wobbly for a couple of rounds to the point where Pitbull or somebody else can't really do it. But I don't know. People ain't really thinking about that. But I know Shakur was thinking about it. That's why he mentioned it. Allegedly, I don't know. He possibly was thinking about it. But he Del Santos posed some kind of threat, though. He know he's some kind of threat. That's all I got. Like and subscribe.